Margarita is one of my favorite drinks, probably my number 2 behind the old fashioned. And in its simplest form, it's tequila, orange liqueur, a little bit of sweet, and a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lime. Ideally, if you can't get limes where you are, you can use lemon, but it's actually not the same fruit. It's actually a completely different thing. I buy a ton of limes when they're in season and actually freeze them so that I have them all year round. You will want to chill your glasses, ideally in a freezer for this, because we can't really do our ice water trick, because the first thing we're going to do is garnish the side of our glass with salt. So to do that, we just cut a lime in half precariously in the air because you don't have your cutting board with you. And you just want to rub the lime on the side of the glass. And now you just pour some salt on a plate. I prefer coarse, although everything I've read said that coarse sticks less, but I've found that for me, coarse actually works really well. And you can see it creates this really nice salt garnish on the side of the glass, which is not just for looks. It very much affects the taste of the drink, and salt and tequila is just a match made in heaven. Now, I did rub this on all 4 sides, although I realize I didn't properly prepare. But one of the extra challenges, we'll call it, for this week is to actually put 4 different takes on it. We'll get to that at the end when I talk about variations. I'm gonna put my ice back in now. We're gonna salt this guy as well. I personally prefer having the salt on one side as opposed to all the way around the rim, just because it gives people options, and they can also try a side without the salt and try a side with the salt, and they can actually understand the difference, which I also think is very cool. But I also think it kind of looks nice. So this week is going to be a margarita 3 ways, all right? I'm gonna show you 2 of the ways. We're not gonna get to the 3rd one. The first classic build of a margarita. Gonna fill our shaker with ice. We're gonna put in 2 ounces or 60 ml of tequila blanco. Again, as I discussed in the Mixology 101 section about tequila, there's blanco, which is aged the least. It's gonna have a little bit of a sharper taste, a little bit more punch to it. There's reposado, which is aged a little bit more and it's gonna rest a bit. It's gonna have a little bit of a smoother taste. And then there's añejo, which is old tequila, and similar to your, whiskeys and scotches that kind of rest a bit longer in barrels to give it a smoother finish. In cocktails, thankfully, the baseline, the basics, your younger varieties will actually work better in the cocktail because it has that punch. It's able to come through with the mix of all the other ingredients in there. I've actually never tried this tequila before. I just opened it. But I even straight up prefer tequila blanco. I like it. I like the punch. I like the taste of tequila. I understand if you don't like the taste of tequila, but I would recommend you trying at least for this month. If you really can't handle it, obviously you can always replace with a different spirit. We're gonna put in 30 milliliters or 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. I squeezed all of this lime juice before filming. So we'll do 1 ounce of fresh lime juice. And we're gonna do a little bit of simple syrup. This is optional. Actually, the first time I made a margarita, I didn't realize and I forgot this ingredient and I love the taste. So I definitely recommend trying both ways. But we're gonna just put in 1/2 ounce or about 15 milliliters of simple syrup. We're gonna put in 2 drops of our 20% saline. Cap it, smack it, flip it, shake it. We're gonna double strain into our glass. Look at that color. And I totally forgot my Cointreau. I was thinking of the modified version. So this is a great lesson in home bartending, okay? We're gonna put this back in. Bit of a mess. Now we're gonna add our 30 milliliter or 1 ounce of Cointreau orange liqueur. You can use Cointreau or triple sec. Cointreau is a little bit nicer. Of course, you can go harder and go for your Grand Marnier, which is a little bit more expensive. And I do want you to know that I could have edited this out to make it look perfect, but I think it's a really good lesson, especially in home bartending. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you're not locked into anything. You can be creative, you can figure it out. I'm not gonna shake this anymore, so I'm actually gonna grab my stir, because at this point, we just want to incorporate. We don't really wanna agitate and aerate and dilute any more than we already did. Oh my God. And I'm just gonna pour that right out. It's already filtered with our ice cube. And that is the classic margarita. I always take the salt side. It is just the perfect drink. And honestly, you get a lot of sweet from the orange liqueur. The simple syrup is very optional. I highly recommend trying both. So, let me empty my ice. Whoosh. We're now gonna try what's called a Tommy's Margarita. Tommy came along and actually introduced a lot of really interesting methodologies that we still use today. Before we get to that, I forgot my garnish here, so you generally want a pinwheel, and it's good to slice the top so that it fits nicely on there. So Tommy's Margarita calls for reposado tequila, okay, which I actually don't have at the moment, so we'll stay with the oh wait, actually, this guy is this reposado or añejo? Reposado. Okay, so Tommy does away with the orange liqueur, and to add some sweetness, he introduces agave syrup, which is simple 1-to-1, very easy to make, just agave and water. You don't even have to heat it up. And this has become kind of a ubiquitous ingredient in regular margaritas of how we prepare at home today. You could always replace your simple syrup with agave syrup. As we know, tequila is made from agave. It all just keeps it in the family. So we're gonna add some ice to our shaker. My ice is getting a little bit wet, and you don't want your ice to be wet. So we're gonna put in 2 ounces reposado tequila. I'm gonna put this guy back. Messing up the set. We're gonna put in 30 mils or 1 ounce of our fresh squeezed lime juice. And we're gonna put in the same 1/2 ounce of agave syrup, this time foregoing the orange liqueur. We're gonna put 2 drops of our 20% saline solution, although I have yet to do some proper experimentation on the taste. We're gonna cap it, smack it, shake it. Open it. Double filter. Garnish. And we have our beautiful Tommy's Margarita. That is so good. I actually feel the lime juice a lot more. It's able to like show itself in the party more. That is so beautifully balanced. With the salt, without the salt. God, I love margaritas. The third margarita, because this is called Margarita Three-Way, is a spicy margarita. So to make a spicy margarita, you have a few options. You can cut up a jalapeno pepper or any spicy chili pepper and infuse it in the tequila itself overnight, which is really interesting. Or what I would do, which is a little bit easier, is to actually slice up a chili pepper in the simple syrup when you make the simple syrup. So you're basically making a chili infused simple syrup. Slice it up, evaporate the sugar. It doesn't need a long time, even 10 minutes should be fine. Either way, you're using the same ratios and amounts, but you're gonna get that kick. If you don't want to deal with cutting up peppers, you could also opt to use some ancho reyes, which I have the green and the red over here. It's not tequila based, it's a liqueur, so it'll introduce a lot of other textures, but I think that would be an interesting experiment. Okay, variations on a margarita. A lot of it we covered already. You definitely can do without the simple syrup and trying it just with the sweetness and sugars of the orange liqueur. You can try different varieties and levels of tequila, obviously, but one thing I find very interesting is the garnish itself. So you can use salt like I did here. You can also use a Tajin spice, which is this chili lime spicy spice that automatically will give it a very interesting flavor and a little bit leaning towards a spicy margarita. You can also make a third one that is sugar based. So I have a friend that does cinnamon and sugar. I have a friend the same friend also does sugar and salt together. And on the fourth side, you can be creative. The point is you can actually have essentially 4 different drinks in the same glass, depending on what direction you're drinking it, which I think gives a really unique experience. The last variation I'll mention is to replace your base tequila with a mezcal, which is like a smoky type of tequila. And that is still within the family, but it's gonna give a very different type of smoky feel. I think also like tequila, it's a little bit of an acquired taste, but that is another variation you can experiment with. All right, this is Margarita Week. This is a lot we covered here, but I think that's a good representation of this really important family of cocktail. I enjoy drinking margaritas so much. I hope you guys enjoy this week. That'll do it for week number 5, and I'll see you all next week. Until then, happy mixing.